Order. Order in the court. I don't want to hear any funny business out of you two. This is a very serious case. This woman has robbed an old lady of all of her possessions. Apparently, allegedly.
I did.
You did?
I did.
Well, let's not jump to any conclusions. And you are the jury. Jury, how do you find...
I just want to say before the jury comes in, I will do it again.
You will do it again?
I saw a lady outside the court this morning coming in, looked well over 90. Easy pickings. I will rob her.
So she will be innocent again. Jury, what do you assemble? Tell us what you believe about her. Is she guilty or not guilty?
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty as charged.
They have found you guilty. How do you plead?
I did it. So.
Well, because you are white, juryman, and because you are black, alleged woman, we are going to let you go. We are going to say you are not guilty. White juries cannot decide the fate of a black victim.
I am quite literally going to step out of this courthouse and rob a 95-year-old.
It's fine. It's fine. Trust me. Okay? We're going to give you another chance. We find you not guilty. We, the people of United States of America.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's a really big day for me.
Yeah. Just don't... My grandma's sitting back there. Don't hurt her, but anyone else is fair game.
Yes, sir. And scene. Oh my goodness. Guys, this opening skit pertains to a story that has to do with Kyle Rittenhouse and Ahmaud Arbery, some trials that are happening as we speak. And the Insider article that talks about white juries being a problem in the American justice system. But before we get into that, let me just give you a brief little overview of all the things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about a veterans memorial that has been defaced here in the States, a student who was arrested for not wearing a mask at his college campus. We also have an interview with the Southwest Freedom Flyer president by the name of Tom Bogart, talking about the fight that he is going through right now at Southwest with the fellow staff, fellow flight attendants, fellow pilots who are fighting these mandates, and a crazy video of Don Lemon, which we have no short supply of. Don Lemon always says ridiculous things on CNN, but this one is in regard to Kyle Rittenhouse. So before we get into all those stories, let's start off with the one that we opened with, and that is this headline out of Insider. Overwhelmingly, white juries will decide both the Kyle Rittenhouse and Ahmaud Arbery cases. The system is imperfect, legal experts say.
Who are these legal experts?
That's a great question.
What qualifies someone as a legal expert?
That's a great question. They don't really stipulate what qualifies somebody as a legal expert in this article.
Because this is like someone saying like Bill Kristol is a expert on military conquest, and all he does is talk about it, but actually really doesn't know too much about it.
Maybe the legal expert was Jeffrey Toobin.
He's a Zoom expert.
Yeah,
he's a technology
expert. A few too many things, I think.
What did he say on CNN the other day? If we put people in jail for being idiots, there'd be a whole lot of people in jail. And I read that and I was like, oh, including you, Mr. Toobin.
I can't believe he said that.
That's so funny.
Walked right into it.
Yeah.
But this is what they do in the mainstream media. They always find like one expert who they agree with, and then they're like, experts agree everyone needs to do this, or experts agree this is unequivocally wrong. And here they find this one example of an expert who supports what the narrative that they're trying to push is, and now official sources say, and they can censor anyone who says otherwise.
Right.
All right, expertise means nothing. I mean, I don't trust people who say that they're experts. Because what does that even mean? I mean, you can have people who are very well versed in something and very experienced. That makes sense, right?
Sure.
But you find that people who are experts usually a lot of the time have some sort of bias. They've been bought out by someone, whatever it is, you know? So you don't trust someone just on the basis of them being an expert. You trust someone on the basis of them being correct on multiple things.
Yeah,
right? Just because someone has the moniker of, hey, I'm a PhD, my name is Jill, and I'm a PhD, like that doesn't actually mean anything. It matters if you are actually correct about the things that you say.
Right.
Very true.
Experts disagree with one another regularly as well.
Right.
That's
regularly.
9 out of 10 dentists agree that my toothpaste stops cavities. But what about that one dentist?
That one angry dentist that just never gets his opinion put out there.
Exactly.
Maybe he's the only one that knows the truth, though.
He probably is.
Oh my gosh.
Throw away my toothpaste now.
He's the one dentist who knows that the earth is not the center of the universe. It's that one dentist that we'll never hear from. But the Insider article goes on and says jury selection in two of the most high profile murder trials, referring to Kyle Rittenhouse and Ahmaud Arbery, in this country took place this week, both resulting in mostly white juries. And it goes over Kyle Rittenhouse, a white man who killed two people and injured another, and Ahmaud Arbery, who was killed by three white men. That's debatable. But the juries in both of these cases are going to be mostly white. And apparently that's problematic. Apparently they need more black people on these juries.
First of all, America is a mostly white country.
It is.
So if the jury is made up of mostly white people, that's just statistically how it should probably be.
Exactly.
Just is obvious to anyone with half a brain. Secondly, Kyle Rittenhouse shot white people, right?
Yes.
They think that he like went out and shot black people in the street. These were white people that he shot.
Yeah.
In what way do you need more black people on the jury anyway? Even if the left was right about that, it mattered what race these people were.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't in this instance, regardless.
And I noticed that reading this article. Interestingly enough, they mentioned Ahmaud Arbery's race. They mentioned the race of the perpetrators of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. They mention Kyle Rittenhouse's race. They don't mention the race of the victims of Kyle Rittenhouse.
There are thousands of people out there right now who still think Kyle Rittenhouse killed black people. They literally have no idea. They think that he murdered black people in cold blood. They have no idea. That's probably what LeBron James thinks.
Does the article spell out what the criminal backgrounds of the victims of Kyle, the quote unquote victims?
Yeah,
of Kyle
quote unquote
Rittenhouse?
victims. No, they don't.
Interesting.
The articles just give a very baseless assessment that for some reason juries need to be ethnically diverse.
It means nothing. This is only just brownie virtue signaling points for someone to write this stupid article. But it doesn't change anything because a jury, in its essence, what it's supposed to be at least, is supposed to be unbiased regardless. You know? And
yes.
Are you insinuating that black people are biased in a certain way and that's why you need to have black people on the trial? Because if you are insinuating that, that would go against what a fair jury is supposed to be. A fair jury is supposed to be any American citizen coming and being a jury of peers. Right? It doesn't matter what the person's race is. It matters that you are an American.
And I'm sure they've struggled for the Ahmaud Arbery case, but I know for a fact they struggled with the Kyle Rittenhouse case to even find unbiased jurors to sit in on this jury. They go through an extensive process of having people, American citizens, come to the courthouse, be interviewed to see what their biases are before putting them on a jury for this case. And they had quite a tough time finding jurors for this specific case. To say that somehow they need to factor in the race of those people is simply ridiculous. Again, it doesn't matter to me whether or not the pilot of my plane is black. It matters whether or not they can fly the plane. That's what I care about. It doesn't matter whether or not the jurors are black or white. It matters whether or not they can take in information and make an assessment.
I know, but this is their worldview. They want a segregated worldview. That is what the left believes in nowadays. Even if they don't say outright segregation, that is what they want. Because like you just said about the pilot, they will come out and say, we need more black pilots. We need more black pilots because so black people will feel safer on planes. That is essentially what these people
even if they're
say.
lesser qualified.
Right. And that's not even the main thing about them being qualified or not. They want race places that are only for them. You go back and look at the civil rights movement. I mean, it is so antithetical to what these people actually fought for back in the day. You would not find people. Maybe we should do this for the Man on the Street videos we were talking about today, asking people if there should be all black dormitories and things like that for. Anyway. But it is totally wrong, and it is against everything that civil rights is supposed to be about making people equal, having people have desegregated schools and, Governor George Wallace in Alabama and all that. Like it's just so different. It's so bad.
And speaking of pilots, we have a very interesting interview with Tom Bogart, who is the president of the Southwest Freedom Flyers, fighting against the vaccine mandates at Southwest. We're going to get into an interview with him, but stick around, guys, because we have some very interesting stories. We have a student getting arrested at university for not wearing a mask, a defaced memorial of our veterans here in this country, again, vaccine related, and is there an effort to normalize pedophilia? We have an assistant professor who is doing exactly that in an interesting video of him/her, who knows at this point, talking about it. But before that, let's get into our guest, Tom Bogart.
All right, guys, we got Tom Bogart here, who is the president of Southwest Freedom Flyers. Really happy to have you here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So the reason why I'm having you on, you can explain a little bit about what you do, but it's because I got a message from someone in your organization that said, hey, on your show, you guys were talking about Southwest and what's happening in some of the other airlines, and it was just inaccurate, the things that we were talking about. And so I was curious about it, and so eventually I got in touch with you, and we had a conversation about, why it was inaccurate, the things that we were talking about on the show. And so I would love to hear from you, and the audience could know what is actually happening at Southwest and these other airlines. What are the things that they are not telling us when it comes to the mandates, and how people who are staff, pilots, or flight attendants, how are they actually being treated, and was it essentially actually a win for us?
Well, first, I just have to say that I'm a Southwest Airlines employee, but my opinions are my own. I don't represent Southwest as an entity. So with that being said, things are relatively difficult at work. Right now, we're faced with this mandate. And originally, when the mandate came out on October 4th, it was a hard line. If you didn't have an exemption, or if you just didn't file an exemption at all, on December 8th, you'd go on unpaid leave. The company has since walked back that hard deadline and pushed it to January 4th. And as of right now, unpaid leave is off the table, last we've heard. But United Airlines lost their preliminary injunction hearing a few days ago. And because of that court case, unpaid leave could be back on the table. Now, it's a hard position to be in as an employee. I love Southwest Airlines. I love the people I work with. I love our customers. I have 24 years left with the company, and I fully plan on staying and retiring with Southwest. But having to be put in a position where you might lose your career over this government and corporate overreach, and having that unpaid leave dangled above your head, it's a difficult position to be in. Internally, the work group is split 50-50, it seems like. And I believe that 40% of the pilots are unvaccinated was the number that was floated by the company. With that being said, they're allowing a two-tier work group inside the company to exist. And going from an essential employee during the lockdown and all through the early stages of the pandemic, and now we're being marginalized into, the being viewed as unsafe, and all these things that people say on social media about the group is allowed to be said. But anytime that we speak up on our side, we're being marginalized and told to that's not allowed.
What we talked about on the phone is that's so important, is that the deadline was December 8th, and then they pushed it back to January 4th, right? Mm-hmm. They changed the date on the deadline because essentially what they wanted to do is keep these employees around at Southwest and these other airlines and say, hey, we really need you for the holidays. And then as soon as the holidays are over, they're basically like, for lack of a better word, they're kind of like, screw you. We just needed you for the holiday season, and now we're going to have you be terminated or this unpaid leave.
Right. That's what it appears to be. I mean, there's the company hasn't actually said that. And, if you're running a business, you're not going to tell your employees that, but it sure is what it feels like. Mr. Kelly goes out on national television and said he's not going to terminate any employees over this. But until that deadline was pushed back, unpaid leave was on the table. Well, unpaid leave is effectively termination. I don't know about you, but I don't have another stream of income. So it remains to be seen what they'll do in January. But now that United lost that case, we'll have to wait and see how Mr. Kelly handles that.
So what does the fight look like for you and your colleagues who are working for the Southwest Freedom Flyers movement right now?
Right now, we'd like the mandate to end. I mean, the internal strife and struggle would disappear if the mandate went away. The argument right now is with accommodations that accompany the exemptions. People who are being granted religious exemptions right now are told to continue to work using social distancing and masks as they have been, which is fine. But usually the exemption comes with an accommodation. Like at United Airlines, they're required to wear a KN95 mask at all times. So masks seem to be discriminatory, we believe, and as does testing. So the employees who work at the headquarters building, they're required to wear masks at work while they're in the office, but vaccinated employees are not required to wear a mask. When the data clearly shows that the vaccinated spread the virus just the same as the unvaccinated.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what I find to be the most disturbing is that when you have, we went through some of the data and we saw that $5 billion had been given to Southwest by the government, essentially what you would call a bailout by the government. So it's like they can terminate their employees or put them on unpaid leave. I mean, essentially, like you said, they're the same thing in a way. And it doesn't really even matter to them if the government is just going to cover their losses from them having this dogmatic way that they're treating their employees. Are you seeing that?
It's again, we'll have to wait and see how Mr. Kelly handles it after the holidays, whether unpaid leave will be on the table again. But the government bailouts are a question. What shoestrings came with those bailouts? And what he's saying is that because of the government contracts as well, is the reason why they have to do that. And the problem is, the rumor going around the company is that the government contracts are worth anywhere, I've heard, between $300 and $500 million, which sounds like a lot of money. But when you look at the percentage of total revenue, that's only 3 to 4% of total revenue. What we've found through government website, it's called FPDS. It's a government, fpds.gov. It's a federal procurement website, that the government contracts that Southwest has are only worth about, on average, over the past 3 years, about $15 million, which is a small sum of money to sell out a sizable group of your employees.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are there standing up. I think that we need more people like you guys not just at Southwest, but at all the airlines, all the companies where they're trying to force this, because the only way that any of this changes is through people like you, through people like us standing up, getting the word out. So I'm happy to share, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Tom. How can people themselves support what you guys are doing?
You can go to www.southweststands.com. You can sign up for our blast emails there. And also, if you're an employee, that'll get you access to the Telegram channel. And another group that we're affiliated with is movefreelyamerica.org. And that group is aimed at stopping vaccine mandates from being instituted, like Canada did. I don't know if you know that. On October 30th, Justin Trudeau instituted vaccine passports for all air and rail travelers in the country. So we believe that is in our future once the transportation industry is vaccinated as workers. They'll institute it for the American citizens as well.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate your time.
That's Tom Bogart and the fight that they are continuing to go through at Southwest Airlines. And like he said, there's something to be said for what is possibly to come. And that is a mandate being set in place for travelers in America, just regular everyday citizens that want to go wherever they would like to go, which you'd think is a right that would be extended to all in this country, but it's a right that it will possibly be taken away. So they are fighting for them. You can support them if you'd like. I also want to shout out the fact that they're doing a freedom rally to stop the mandate on November 13th. It's 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mockingbird Lane at the entrance of Dallas Love Field. So come out and support them if you're in Dallas and
tomorrow.
You want to, fight this stuff.
That's
That is tomorrow. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now, let's get into another story here. Speaking of COVID, here's an interesting news piece out of New Zealand. What constitutes a COVID death? Let's find out.
Attempts. Now, since his death, health authorities say he tested positive for COVID-19, and One News understands that several people are also isolating. So then you have to ask how someone who sustained these types of injuries and then died ends up as part of our COVID-19 death tally. Now, the Ministry of Health says that's because under the World Health Organization guidelines, anyone who dies while also having an acute COVID-19 infection is recorded as part of a nation's death tally, whatever the cause of death might be. Now, exactly how this man died will be subject to an ongoing police investigation as well as an investigation by the coroner. And meanwhile, 3 people have been charged in relation to the death, and police are still hunting for a 4th.
Amazing. Just to be clear, the guy was shot dead.
He was shot dead.
Shot dead.
And he's a COVID death.
That was a COVID death.
The official guidelines, guys. We have to follow the guidelines.
Yeah.
So COVID killed
Gotta
him.
follow those guidelines.
That's what you get for not being vaccinated.
His body's full of bullet holes lying there, lifeless, but it was definitely COVID because the guidelines say so.
Mm-hmm. Just think about with what they were just saying about what the WHO has put forward, that if someone dies while they test positive for COVID,
right,
it counts as a COVID death.
Yep.
So think about the numbers of all the people who have died from COVID. Legit?
Probably not. I mean, I remember cases out of Florida, motorcycle accidents, car accidents, they were getting labeled as COVID deaths because they would test the dead people after these accidents and then label them as COVID deaths. Same thing happening for heart attacks, liver disease, cancers, anything you can think of. They're being labeled as COVID-19 deaths. So what does that tell you about the data that you've received so far?
Well, the hospitals get more money.
Yep.
The hospitals get more money from insurance if they can label someone as COVID versus not as COVID. So it actually makes they have a financial vetted interest in labeling someone who died like this as a COVID death.
I mean, that was in the U.S., I think, but this is New Zealand, and they're citing. But either way, they're citing World Health Organization guidelines. Yeah, but the hospital's like, that's not a global thing that they get more money. I'm just saying, like, there's other incentives here for them that they're. I think it's just they're taking this one size fits all broad brush approach to try to like hype up the fear as much as they can, and they're not interested in providing helpful data that helps us zero in on what the actual facts on the ground are, how many people are actually dying from COVID-19. They're trying to paint as broad a picture as possible. It's like, oh, well, anyone who is test positive within 30 days of dying, that's definitely a number. And all it does is reduce public confidence in what they're able to say, because we look at it with common sense. Like, this guy got shot. He didn't die of COVID. It's common sense. But because your stupid guidelines are counting it that way, you're painting an inaccurate picture of the real situation of the disease, and yet you're asking us to trust you, and you're the basis for whether we get censored or whether we're able to participate in society. Like, your guidelines, no.
This is the best way to stir up opposition, is just simply not being truthful. And the fact that they're so open about this in their media is just blows my mind. This is what you're asking for people to oppose the sort of rulings that you're making, the mandates that you're making, because we know that it's BS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish someone in the U.S. would say something like that.
Right. Instead, in the U.S., we have this picture here. Look at this memorial that has been defaced by some imbecile. It says the real heroes are the vaccinated, over a military memorial in the United States.
Evil people. There is nothing else to describe that, but someone who is evil doing that and making it about themselves when that is obviously about the veterans. And people were all saying, like, oh, this must be fake, this must be fake. It was real. And they scrubbed it off, luckily, before there was supposed to be a ceremony by that memorial. Yeah. So, but I mean, just to have it even be there in the first place,
it's disgusting.
It's just ridiculous.
It's disgusting. Yeah, and that's not where the ludicrousy stops. There's more. Here is a student at Western University being arrested in his class for not being masked.
Do you need an extra mask?
Crazy.
Canada.
Yeah, this is Canada. This is Western University in Canada. Yes. A student being arrested. And what's interesting is just all the other students just sitting there just watching.
That's the worst part.
Watching this happen. Nobody said or did a thing.
Yeah. That is definitely one of the worst parts.
I think so.
The fact that none of the other students will go and say anything or say that it's wrong, but imagine if this kid said the wrong leftist thing,
Right.
He said something like that. What would they do? All the people in the class would be up in arms trying to defend this thing that he said that he should have said. Maybe he said colored people versus people of color, and then everyone in the classroom just gets so upset at him.
Yeah.
But if something actually tyrannical happens like this, I mean, that
He could say something radical like, I oppose segregated dormitories.
Right.
Unbelievable.
So radical.
Arrest that
He
man.
needs to be expelled immediately.
Exactly. They have no problem. The herd has no problem standing up as a herd if it's the herd's justified thing that they're allowed to say, or their acceptable thing that they are allowed to say. And so it is acceptable for them to say all these leftist talking points and to stand up in a class and say these things because they know that there is no consequence for saying so. Even if they want to say, oh, you're so brave, you're not. There is no consequence for saying so.
Yeah.
But standing up against this, obviously this kid is facing real consequences where he's getting arrested for this, right? For not being vaxxed and not being masked. So the other kids aren't going to say anything because they see that there would actually be real dire consequences if they said something. But sometimes you have to deal with consequences to have a good life, to have a life that's full of truth. The fact that these other kids don't do anything, I don't know if they're too scared to something, or maybe some of them are just like, we don't care. We're actually glad he's getting arrested. It's hard to tell with all the students, but you have to at least imagine that there's one or two students who are in that giant lecture hall who are saying, you know, this is wrong, and then they do nothing.
Yeah, good on the kid for taking it like a boss and just getting arrested in front of everybody. Straight up boss. Yeah, but to just sit there and do nothing is just such a clear painted picture of what our generation is like. Cowards. It's like the Barry Weiss article that she wrote. Cowardice is what got us out of this got us into this mess. Courage is what gets us out of it. There's no courage. There's none whatsoever. Nobody has the balls to stand up and say this is not okay.
Right.
Yeah.
No one's got the balls.
No one's got him.
Now
one's
you can't
got
even
him.
assume that anyone's got the balls.
No, you can't. Now that's offensive. Okay, let's get back into not necessarily a Kyle Rittenhouse update, but here is what Don Lemon and his fellow talking heads at CNN had to say about the recent Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
There's this theme of white wannabe vigilantism that I think encapsulates both of these trials. And I wonder what you think about, look, laws aside, how is the defense doing aside? What do you think about just this idea that this is something people do, that in some places this is still okay?
Well, it's the same idea as I was saying about the judge. This is okay because people are used to it. This is the ultimate entitlement. That, again, you can insert yourself into a situation with a gun that you're not supposed to be carrying, kill two people, injure, and you are made to be a hero by the public. You see someone jogging down the street, and you take it into your hands. You think it's your responsibility to stop that person when you're not even sure if they are committing a crime because it is your street.
Those aren't even comparable.
No.
Someone jogging in the street and going and shooting them because it's your neighborhood is not the same. That's murder.
He's trying to conflate what Kyle Rittenhouse did with what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. And anybody familiar with the Ahmaud Arbery case knows that he was not jogging. Anybody can go and look up the information from that case. He was not in his neighborhood. He was definitely not there with the intent to jog. And somebody caught wind of that, and it unfortunately ended in a very horrible, horrific way. But to say that and then compare that to Kyle Rittenhouse is not the same thing at all.
Of course not.
Not the same thing
Of course.
at all.
One is defending their city.
Gosh.
Yeah, not at all.
He goes on to say, obviously, it's not your right to defend your city or town. Let's hear him.
Is your country. It is the ultimate degree of entitlement when people believe that this is how they're supposed to be. What the right is saying about Kyle Rittenhouse is that, well, the government didn't do its job, so it took a 17-year-old kid to come in and do what was right. That's vigilantism. That's not what people are not supposed to be vigilantes. We're not supposed to be taking justice into our own hands. Imagine if every single person in America did that. Imagine if you call for black men or just black folks to be armed and go out on the streets and, you know, do what they think. Justice, take it back. Remember, and what they did to you and slavery, whatever. Go and take things and do. Imagine if people were condoning that. Or
Okay.
It's not the same at all.
Okay, he is the person who was condoning it. He's saying he's coming out against vigilantism and saying we can't let people take justice into their own hands. What was Kyle Rittenhouse there for in the first place?
Right.
It was for the people rioting and burning cities down, taking
Which he
justice into their own
condoned.
hands that Don Lemon condoned.
Exactly, which he condoned. And every single year we get the education about the Black Panthers who were black vigilantes who happen to also be armed, and they get cheered on till the cows come home. So I don't know what he's talking about, that this is not privy to American society, that this is not something that regularly happens. Of course it is.
The point of the Second Amendment is that you are defending yourself essentially from a militant government. I mean, that is what it's supposed to be, to fight against tyranny. If your government fails you and doesn't do the things to protect its own city because they either defunded the police or the police don't care because they're all leftist or whatever it is, what else are you supposed to do?
Apparently,
If
you're
someone
supposed to sit there and watch your city get burned down, watch your business get burned down, watch your
Right.
property be trespassed on, and just, let it happen.
Like, not do
Exactly.
That's what they
anything
want.
against it?
Right.
Like, just, someone comes, breaks into your house. You can't be a vigilante. You need to depend on the police. You're so entitled for wanting to defend your own possessions. How dare you want to defend yourself?
It's
What
just
entitlement?
crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah, but the rioters weren't vigilantes. They weren't out there calling for justice while burning things down, beating people up and killing people and breaking into other people's properties. It's just so
If someone broke
mind-boggling.
into Don Lemon's house or was on his street, destroying everything, I would guarantee you that Don Lemon would want a gun to defend himself.
He might. He's very soy. So he would hire somebody else to do it for him. But he would, in some capacity, be protecting himself.
Right.
Let's finish the clip.
Doing that, will there be a different perception in this country about who should and who shouldn't carry guns? Would our gun laws be different? I certainly think so. So there is a double standard, but it is the ultimate degree of entitlement. This is what I'm supposed to do because this belongs to me, meaning this street, this town, and this country. And I think it's tough for people to hear that, but it is the absolute truth. I don't walk down the street saying, I pay taxes here and therefore no. If I see someone breaking the law, I call the cops. That's what they're there for. It's supposed to be about law and order. This isn't about law and order. This is about unlawful conduct and
Talk
discipline.
about the rioters, you Nimrod.
The rioters were literally saying, this is my America. You stole this America from me. This is my America. This is my street. This is my town, as they burned it down and beat people up in the streets. It is the same exact argument that he is trying to use against Kyle Rittenhouse, who went there to protect himself. And he goes, you know what? You should just call the police. That's what the police are there for. That's law and order. As I recall, there was a whole line of police officers in Kenosha when this was happening who did nothing, who were right across the street as Kyle Rittenhouse was being attacked, as he had to defend himself against the attackers. And when Kyle Rittenhouse shot 2 people and injured 1, Kyle Rittenhouse ran as fast as he could to the line of police who were there, attempted to turn himself in by putting his hands above his head. And guess what? Nothing happened because the police were too busy dealing with other rioters who were burning things down in the street.
It's unbelievable how he can say these things.
Unbelievable.
It's truly unbelievable.
And he talks about the epitome of entitlements, and someone in the chat made a good point. Entitlement is looting on the basis of reparations and
Yes.
saying that I'm entitled to this because of past injustices against me. So I'm so entitled that the law doesn't apply to me today, and I can just steal and take and burn whatever I want.
That's entitlement. Yes, it is.
And entitlement is having your own show on CNN despite being credibly accused of sexual assault on Megyn Kelly's show 4 days ago.
Right. Yeah.
Don Lemon, in case you hadn't heard about that.
Wink, wink, Don Lemon. Yeah, it's just, that is entitlement. And the whole idea of white vigilantism is ridiculous. And they say, the political right upholds him and puts him on a pedestal because he's a white vigilante. Guess what? If Kyle Rittenhouse was black, I'd still be here saying, you know what? That guy's not guilty. That was self-defense. He did the right thing. It doesn't matter what color Kyle Rittenhouse is. In fact, if he was black, maybe I'd be more proud because the rhetoric around black people and Black Lives Matter and the riots in Kenosha is so pervasive that it would surprise me that a young black man was not brainwashed enough to go out and defend his town. You know what? That's what I would think.
When you say white vigilante, Don Lemon in that sentence, because the word vigilante holds a negative connotation,
Yes.
he doesn't have to explain what actually happened in the situation.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't have to explain what the Second Amendment means. He doesn't have to explain why he was there defending himself, all these things. You don't have to explain it. If you can just say vigilante, white vigilante, and make that sound like a bad thing, you don't have to explain your points. That's how these people act on everything. They can just say, oh, the right-wingers, oh, the Nazis, oh, the conservatives, all these people, label them, the racists, all these people, white vigilante is just the next one now that they're using. And they can put all of these terms out and all these words and call us whatever they want, and then they never have to have any actually responsibility to explain the things that they're saying that we did.
Yep. And now we live in a clown world where good is bad and bad is good.
Up is down and down is trans.
Oh, that's actually a perfect segue, Will, into our next set of stories. And that is the nature of leftism and their relationship with children. We have a couple different videos I want to show you. This first one's from TikTok. And on the screen, you'll see for kids only.
All right,
I want to talk to the kids. Parents watch the video and then hand the phone over to the young kids. Hi there. I get asked a lot, are you a boy or a girl? And I love that question. And so I wanted to just tell you, sometimes human beings are more than boy or girl.
No.
Sometimes we're something else. Sometimes we're both.
No.
Sometimes we kind of float in between, and sometimes we're a boy, sometimes we're a girl. Because human beings are creatures and we're wild and exciting. I want to talk to the kids. Parents watch the video and then hand the phone over to the young kids. Hi.
Almost about to play it back again.
Had to hear it again.
Once was enough.
Once was
Good
enough.
Lord.
Yeah.
Remind me of Pennywise the Clown.
Sometimes we're boys, sometimes we're girls, sometimes we float in the middle.
Sometimes we float.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes we float.
But the way he
We all
started
float
that,
down here.
parents, pass the phone to your kids. This isn't
Yep.
for you to see. I don't need to be accountable to you for what I want to indoctrinate your kids with. Just hand it straight to them and let me tell them, because anyone with common sense who's been raised in the real world for any amount of time can see through this nonsense. But not an innocent child, I can impose this ideology on him or her, and because those are the two genders, and
Him or her,
they're
yeah.
defenseless against it.
You are either a man or a woman. Okay? You can't be more than a man or a woman. You're not both at the same time. It's just this. And you shouldn't be telling kids that.
And it's detrimental to children. We know this to be true. It is detrimental to have your child develop confusion, gender-based confusion. We know this. And yet there is still this massive campaign to go, well, whatever my child says that they are, I must affirm, because that is what's best for them. Whatever is in their child brain is what is best for their life and for their reality. And that is not the case at all. What you should do as a parent, even if you've never exposed your child to this sort of ideas, and maybe they come to you, they got exposed to it at school or on the internet or whatever, and they say, Mom, I'm confused because I'm a girl, but I feel like a boy. The best answer to that is not to go, okay, you're a boy now. Let me change your pronouns. Let me change your name. Let me change the way you dress. The best answer to that is go, well, why do you feel confused about that? And how can I help you feel confident in the body and in the gender that you were born with? How do I help you to accept who you are as the person you were born as? It's not to go and affirm some sort of alternate reality for this child.
Yeah, you just tell them no.
Well, yeah, I think you do a little bit more than just tell them no.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
in a sense.
yes.
I mean, not all kids get trophies, okay? Just because you have some idea that your teacher told you or that you saw from a TikTok video does not mean that you get like a trophy. Like sometimes parents have to, you're not your kid's friend. You have to be hard on your kid and tell them, hey, this isn't true, okay? You are a boy.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's just...
If someone is attempting to indoctrinate your children with propaganda and ideology, it is your responsibility to bring them back to reality and say, here are the facts. They're a male and they're a female. That's true of every other species. It's true with what we teach up until 5 years ago about human beings as well. But this is new woke ideology, and it's not going to last because it's not rooted in facts and science. And you're going to live in reality, child.
Yes.
You want a balloon? We all float.
But that is not the only child-focused campaign that is happening right now on the left. Here is a video of a woman who now identifies as a man by the name of Alan Walker, who is an assistant professor at Old Dominion University in the Department of Sociology, you guessed it, and also criminal justice. Here's the video.
So much for that question. I use the term minor attracted person or MAP.
let me pause really quick. Minor attracted person, or MAP, is a new coined term for pedophiles, people who are attracted to minors. Let's continue.
In the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. First of all, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP.
I do not give a damn what a pedophile wants me to call them.
Yep.
That is the last thing I care. You like children? I will call you a psychopath and a sicko, okay? I'm not going to call you by whatever you want to be called. You are literally the worst people in the world. I do not care what you want to be called. Continue.
They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors. I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction. And non-offending MAPs, by definition, do not abuse children, so their behaviors are moral. But they're still being subjected to this same idea that they're bad people. Stigma against MAPs is a problem in part because it makes MAPs think that they're monsters. That's really problematic in terms of MAP well-being. It's really hard to cope when you think you're a terrible person because you have attractions that you can't change.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That makes me so mad.
Just when I think, it's not going to get any worse than it gets, and it gets worse. It gets worse.
No, that is the worst. I don't know how it gets worse than that, because that is so bad. Saying you need to not stigmatize these people. These are the people who we should stigmatize. That's why you put them on a watch list, on a sexual predator watch list. If someone is attracted to children, that is just, it's disgusting and horrible.
Yeah.
You should be stigmatized for them.
So for the people who are maybe don't understand the argument being made here is that saying that people who are attracted to minors, obviously for the most part, are not actual sex offenders. Most of them will not go out and actually find a minor to abuse. However, they've expressed this attraction, whether this be in therapy or in some sort of group. And because of that, they have coined the term minor attracted person rather than calling them pedophiles, because pedophiles have an association with already being a sexual offender. What this book goes on to do, and what this person, Alan Walker, goes on to do, is to say that we should normalize minor attracted people, as well as make it okay to have childlike sex toys.
That's what they say?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a lot of, I don't even have any other commentary other than this is just wrong.
It is incredibly wrong. To think that this could, at any point, how far in the delusion do you have to be to think that this is okay to say? How delusional do you have to be? Legitimately. You have to be as messed up as a pedophile if you think that this is okay. Legitimately.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is so terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's sort of just the rabbit hole has to get deeper, and because of how bad it is now, you can only get into more horrifying things from here. I can't imagine there being any sort of semblance of sanity coming from the extreme. And this is not leftism. This is extreme leftism. You can only get worse from here. There's nothing better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's an interesting question here of, I think where a lot of this is coming from is that under the far left postmodern sort of worldview, you reject the idea of objective morality. And you and I, we're having the reaction that we're having to this because under objective morality, you just know.
Yeah.
It's self-evident, we hold these truths self-evident. It's self-evident that pedophilia is morally wrong. And what these people have is a postmodern sort of view of morality, which is person focused, and so whatever I'm attracted to, whatever attractions happen to come out of me are good because it's me and I am inherently good and human beings are inherently good. And so if this attraction is coming out, the problem's not with me. That attraction is not objectively evil. It is subjectively good because it's this subjective sort of morality. And I think that's fundamentally how you can start to build these arguments that these people are building is they're coming from this place of if it comes up out of you, whatever desires come up out of you, that's inherently good. And that is not true.
Yeah. And we know that, I mean, if we look at other sexual identities, like even lesbian and gay, which are totally fine, whatever. If you identify as that, I totally understand. You love who you love, whatever. But we know that the acceptance and normalization of these sexualities leads to further societal acceptance of them. That's just the one stepstone that leads to the next, So what happens when you normalize maps pedophiles, people who are attracted to minors? What is the next step here?
You can't say you love who you love, because if you just love who you love, it doesn't make any sense, because you can't, because then people will say, oh, I love this 12-year-old boy.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about in relation with consenting adults. That's why that's
a stupid thing to say. Like, that's a stupid saying.
With consenting adults, you love who you love. When you are two consenting adults, that is a totally different thing.
I know, but now because of statements like that is why they want to change it into something like this and say, well, it's love is love. You know, we've been saying this for years. It's like the slippery slope. And so then it turns into something disgusting, horrible like this.
I don't know. I just know this is horrible.
It is.
This is horrible.
It's like, why is it horrible? And I think that the answer is that morality is objective, and we know that intuitively in our hearts. We know that this is evil.
I mean, it would be the same thing with a murder. If you're like, oh, like it's fine to, you know, it's not a murderer, it's a PWK, a person who killed, and like that's how they want to be identified as. It's like, no, this person murdered someone.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt that you can sin and then and find salvation and like be able to do this. Okay, we're not saying that, but in terms of people trying to normalize the worst behaviors in a society and say that it's okay, is disgusting and shows you just how far society has gone. And I understand. I'm not trying to just make a mountain out of a molehill with one person like this, right? And say it's one person, it's infecting the whole globe and all that and everything, and say that it's the worst thing ever. But ideas like this, if people don't say something about it right now, when it first happens, then it explodes and gets everywhere.
And this person is a professor.
Right, a professor.
Yeah,
this person should be fired from their job.
Publishing videos on the internet trying to influence people with these ideas.
And is publishing books with these ideas written out in theory. So it's...
Here's what I'm going to do this weekend, and I'm going to bring it back on Monday. If there isn't one already, I am going to start a petition to have this person fired from their university. And then I'm going to post it on the show, and all of you guys can sign it. Because it is disgusting, and they should be fired from their job. 100%. They should lose their job. And I hope that you all agree. You should all agree.
There you go. There's going to be a petition.
There's going to be a petition on Monday.
Yeah.
A lot of the comments are very... like Will's being based right now.
Yeah,
so.
Will's being based. It's like the love,
but it's true.
Love is love.
I mean, moral clarity is so important. And, you know, even I'm thinking of the scripture right now. It's just like, what are those who call evil good and good evil? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what this is like you're trying to normalize what is evil. You're trying to euphemize what is blatantly evil. And it's when the correct response to that is to say, no, this is evil, and be very clear and unequivocal about that.
Jeremiah 12:1, why does the wicked prosper? You know, it's like all this stuff just happens and people let it happen. Should not be allowed to happen ever.
Yeah.
This person should never be allowed to be around children ever again. It is really
unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's really unacceptable. And to hear it, it becomes so... Our news cycle is just so inundated with just crazy extreme stories that you almost read these things and go, wow, well, that's just another story on the list. But it's not. It's particularly insane to have somebody say those things. Now let's really test everybody at this table's morality and their moral their moral thinking here, because for Fun Friday we are doing moral dilemmas, guys. Here's question number 1. I will give you the details. You guys make your choice based on your own moral compass, and you guys can also participate down in the chat. Moral dilemma number 1. You go out with your husband for dinner at a restaurant. Will and Taylor, you're very familiar with this. Going out with your husbands. Yeah. You have not frequented this restaurant before. It in a part of town you rarely visit. You are shocked to see your friend's spouse having dinner with a very young, attractive person. From the way they are behaving, it is obvious they are more than friends. The couple finish their meal and leave without seeing you. They behave very affectionately on the way out the door. Do you, A, tell your friend, knowing you probably will not be believed, that it may ruin your friendship, or B, say nothing about seeing the couple, as it is none of your business, they even may have an open relationship?
Well, first, as a good wife, I would ask my husband what we should do. That's
Okay.
what I would do first. And after that, we kind of answered this on that other show.
Yeah, this is similar to
Yeah,
that.
you should
It is.
go tell the friend.
This
Just
was
go tell the
Ask Will
friend.
and Amala.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
Monday,
go
we
tell
had
a
a
friend.
question
Yeah.
like this.
So you would walk up to the
But that's not one of the
dinner
answers
table.
given, interestingly.
Yeah.
Right? Because this says, do you tell your friend or do you not say anything?
Yeah.
Tell your
It's not-
friend.
you don't have an option.
I wouldn't tell my friend. I would confront the person who's my friend's spouse and say,
Oh, it's the friend's
you
spouse.
tell
Oh, I
them
thought
or
that
I will.
was your friend.
I think that's the correct answer. Is
Oh.
you tell them or I will.
Okay, well,
Oh,
let's
okay.
say
I
you
thought
don't
that
have
was
that
the friend.
option. You have to choose between the two of these.
Oh, then neither one of those is the right option.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a moral dilemma
Yeah.
because it doesn't have the right option.
If I had to choose between the two of these, probably tell my friend. But obviously, the better option is to go and tell the friend's spouse, "Hey, you tell them or I will."
Hey,
type of
bud.
thing. Hey, bud. Hey, buddy. You better go tell Sherry.
Yeah. Whose palms you've been greasing?
Exactly.
Get it together, bucko.
Get it together. A lot of people are saying, "Do nothing, do nothing, do nothing." Wow.
America falls if we do nothing.
Wow. You guys, your moral compasses are far different than ours.
All right.
Next one. You are in charge of the petty cash at the office. However, a coworker is responsible for making a weekly trip to the bank to make the business deposit and obtain petty cash for the following week.
Jake.
In a conversation with your mutual supervisor, you are asked if the increase in the petty cash amount was enough. You, however, have not seen any additional money. You realize your coworker has been pocketing the additional money. Do you, A, tell your supervisor you have neither asked for nor received any additional petty cash and that you suspect your coworker is pocketing the money? B, tell your coworker your suspicions and give them a chance to pay the money back? Or C, say nothing and just wait to see what happens?
Where's start a scheme with the coworker to get even more money?
I won't tell if you give me
Yeah,
half.
I won't tell. I would probably tell the coworker. I'm not going to tell the boss. No way. That's not it's not my responsibility, you know?
Okay.
Because I'm guessing if it's petty cash, it like doesn't affect my job, you know?
Okay.
If this was something where it's like, oh, this person is bringing me down because of it, then maybe I would tell the boss. But I'm always someone like, even like if us three and maybe Scott, you know? We have problems on the show or something.
What if
I don't
it's-
go to Craig. I come and talk
What
to
if
you
it's
guys.
like a small
you know?
mom and pop shop
I go to
owned
Craig.
by like,
Yeah, I go right over your head.
what if
I go
it's like
right
a
to
small mom and pop shop owned by like a 90-year-old couple whose daughter has cancer?
Oh my goodness! Can you not
Then are you
make it
gonna
like
tell?
the worst situation?
Well, you
ever?
should think about it in the worst situation. Are you telling?
I think it's simpler than that. I don't like either of these answers though, because both of them, it says either tell your supervisor and that you haven't received the extra money and about your suspicions, or you tell the person that you're suspicious of what they're doing. And like either way, it's about me communicating what I'm suspicious of, and I wouldn't do that. I would say go to supervisor and say, here are the facts about this, and I'll let them make their own inferences based on what the facts are. Or I would confront the person and say, hey, I was expecting this much money. There's this much money. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so which one are you doing?
I would tell the guy.
I think that depends on like, I don't know, the situation a little more, like my relationship to the person. Are they a friend or I don't know.
Imagine it's Scott.
If it's Scott,
It's Scott. He's
like if it's someone who I'd otherwise think is honest and I have a little bit of context, then I think I would go to them and be like, hey, can you explain to me why these numbers aren't adding up? And if they're like, lie to me about it, then I don't know. At that point, I have to go to the supervisor and say, hey, this is,
okay.
these aren't adding up, but I'll
So
let you deal
coworker
with it.
first, supervisor second, if necessary.
I guess so.
Saw you pulling an Eddie Money. I know what you've been doing. Do you get that reference?
Nope.
Eddie Money, take the money and run.
Nope.
Come on. Or Eddie. Wait, was it? What band is that? Or is that Steve Miller Band? Take the money and run.
I have no idea.
Someone in the comments, I think it's Steve Miller Band. Take the money and run.
Next moral dilemma, Will.
You guys
Your
are-
teenager.
Steve Miller Band. Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know why I said Eddie. Eddie Money is Take Me Home Tonight. That's Eddie Money. right?
Okay,
I don't
well,
know.
we're moving on,
Whatever.
William.
Okay, sorry.
Moral dilemma. Your teenager has had a rough few years. First came an arrest for shoplifting. The item was of little value, so it was only a misdemeanor. Then your teen was with some friends who were smoking pot and driving too fast. Your teen has promised they are turning over a new leaf and seem to be on the right track.
Turn over a new leaf, all right.
Doing better.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. Doing better in school, coming home by curfew, and generally having a much better attitude. Now you get a call from the local police station saying your son was with a group of kids who broke into a liquor store and stole beer. Do you go to the station and see how you can get your teen out of this jam, or let him accept whatever consequences befall him?
Well, there are so many things I would have done differently already, like beforehand.
Like what?
I've seen this all. I used to date a girl. I'm not going to say her name, but she ended up being kind of an alcoholic.
Okay.
Right? And every time something would happen, her parents would just say, you know, and she would come and say, no, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better and everything. And then she wouldn't get better. Right. And she wouldn't get better.
Okay.
And it just was a bad situation. So I ended up, breaking things off, obviously. But, it was like she would continually tell them, the parents would believe her and then let her back in, everything like that. They would be so soft on her,
Sure.
And it's like, you need to be hard as a parent. You need to tell them what's up. You shouldn't say, like, if your kid comes and says, oh, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be better. Like, don't just believe them. Like, make sure that there are consequences for what they did before. Not just that, oh, okay, we believe you,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say don't go get the kid.
Yeah.
I would also say don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think Will's right in that you don't want to shield them from consequences of their poor choices.
Right.
So, you don't want to like leave them to suffer needlessly or to feel completely abandoned. So I think that's the other side of it that you don't want to, mess up on. But I do think if it is obvious that they need to learn this lesson, then it's okay if they have to, face the consequences themselves on some things.
Yeah, you get the call and you go, oh, sweetie, you effed up. And that's really horrible. And also jail is horrible. And it's really horrible that you're going to have to spend 24 hours there. Mm-hmm. But I'll be there bright and early tomorrow to pick you up. Have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to have a long talk when you get back, mister.
There you go. That's the answer. Now we're going to do some quick
we're
fire.
We're such great parents, guys.
We are such good parents, guys.
I
can't wait for
parenting Amala.
Will, Amala,
Proud
and Taylor
12-year-old.
adopt a child. And we raise it live in front of all of you.
Yeah, it's a yearly thing.
Now we're going to do some rapid response moral dilemmas here before we move on to our next segment. Okay, here we go. When purchasing at a local store, you are given too much change. Do you say something or keep quiet?
I mean, who uses real money anymore, right? We all use cards.
Bitcoin.
I sometimes use real money. I would give the change back. Done it before.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I missed
this.
You're at a local store.
Given too much change. Yeah, you give it back.
You give the change back.
Yeah.
Okay, easy. Okay.
Or you just throw it in the little like St. Jude's thing.
Yeah.
Either
whatever.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. You receive a package at your home that was delivered to the wrong address. The shipping label indicates that it's one of your favorite items that you cannot afford to purchase yourself. Do you keep it or notify the person that it was intended for?
So one time, a couple of months ago, I'm telling you a story. I got a package to my house. I thought it was to me, and I opened it up, and it was this Hello Kitty mouse pad for like a computer. And I didn't know what to do with it.
The one that you use all the time today?
Yeah, the one I still have today. But it was incorrectly given to me, and I didn't know what to do with it. And so I just left it on my porch for them to come back. There's the whole story.
Well, at least you didn't take it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I would try to notify the person.
Yeah, it'd be wrong to take it. You do what you can, return to sender or, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. If Will gets a package that's a cardboard cutout of Leonardo DiCaprio, who knows if he's going to give it
He
back.
wouldn't be able to resist it.
Yeah, right. That's one of his favorite items.
Yeah, no, it's mine. It's mine. So, full Leonardo DiCaprio body pillow. What?
Next
Hot
one.
Scott life-size portrait.
I can't give this back. Next
Who
one.
ordered this?
Your neighbor leaves their dog out in all kinds of weather. The poor animal frequently looks like it's miserable. Sometimes it is out of water and seems to be fed rarely. Do you report what you think is happening or stay quiet?
Well, I'm not just going to call the police. I would try and or go and knock on the person's door who I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And then if they're like, oh, it's fine, then I would call animal safety.
Same here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Easy
There
answer.
are people who do that in my apartment too. It's very annoying.
That's horrible.
Yeah. There's this one guy who lets his dog pee all over the elevator. It's the worst.
It's really interesting. Because it's very easy to walk from the elevators to somewhere where there's grass.
I know. You've been to my place. It's like it's so easy, and it's
very easy to not let that happen.
I know.
You almost have to point your dog in that direction for that to happen.
I think just like the guy is so lazy that he just takes his dog onto the elevator, lets it pee all over the thing, then goes back to his apartment instead of having to take him downstairs.
That is great.
I know.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely report
Thanks,
this person.
Obama.
Okay, we're going to take it a step up. What if you suspect your neighbor of child abuse? You're not sure if they have a fit-throwing kid or if something is really wrong.
Is the kid doing the signs from TikTok?
The kid's not doing the signs from TikTok.
Well, then call the police.
Call the police, do you think? What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, do what you can to confirm your suspicions, but if you're seriously that concerned, then yeah, you can't just...
I've called CPS on a neighbor before.
Don't you legally have to, if you suspect child abuse, to say something?
Yes. I had a neighbor, and when I was living in Florida, I had like a large backyard, a somewhat large backyard, and it was our backyards were only separated by a fence. And sometimes I would go and take my dogs out in my backyard, and I would look over the fence, and they had like an 8-year-old child who I think was autistic. This lady would get so upset with her child that she would bring him outside, didn't matter if it was cold, raining, super hot, whatever, and just lock the kid outside. So this kid would be like banging on the doors. So of course I called Child Protective Services on her, and I think they took care of it, but
wow,
who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah. But the first time I saw it, I was like, this is not okay. I was probably like 15.
I used to do that with my sister. I'd lock her outside.
I used to abuse my sister sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not a parent. It's
when you're a kid, it's okay. Yeah,
exactly.
Guys, real quick, speaking of locked up women, Britney Spears was breaking news, just freed from her conservatorship.
13
wow.
years. Congrats,
#free Britney.
Yeah, good job, Britney.
That's an ethical dilemma solved.
Good for her.
20 years later.
Do you guys want more ethical dilemmas, or do you want to decide whether or not something is a weed store or a church?
I kind of like the ethical dilemmas, but
let's do like one more.
Okay. Let's see here. You're at a party or out on the town with your...
I'm obviously at a party.
Obviously, always at parties. Or out on the town with your best friend. They have too much to drink and will not let you drive them home. What do you do?
Wait, they're trying to drive home?
Yes, and they will not let you drive them home because they're so drunk. What do you do?
This has happened before. You just like throw them in the back.
Yeah.
You get in someone else and you're just like, sit down. And you put the seatbelt on, and then they'll fall asleep in the back seat, and they'll be fine. But
you wish them well. Good luck.
Good luck. I know it's Cleveland in January. But
I would have to
be fine.
I would have to shove them in the back of my car and then drive. I'm not putting them in an Uber or in a cab, especially if they're female. So,
right. No, you put them in the back of your car.
You could put me in an Uber for the record, or Will.
Yeah, I could put you guys in an Uber.
No, you
I
can't
think
put
you'd
me
be
in
fine.
an Uber.
Oh yeah,
I'm putting you.
Never
in
mind.
an Uber.
Can't put Will in an Uber.
It's like sending me to jail. I'm way too pretty. You can't put me in an Uber.
Will's a hot commodity in jail.
I don't want that.
2 packs of Doritos and a cigarette.
Oh, gross.
Will, I would
Amala
personally
really liked her own joke on that.
She really liked that one. That was a stinker.
I would throw you in the back of my car, Will.
Thank
at
you.
least. But you guys are like, an unruly male is going to be way harder to get in the back of a car than a female.
No, I know. I used to have a friend like that, and it was all the time. It was literally every single
These
time.
noodle arms can't do that.
Yeah, he was like huge. He was like massive dude, and we'd all have to just tie him down.
He's like fighting you with all of his strength.
He's like, let's wrestle. I'm like, no, we're not wrestling.
Do you give him more alcohol at that point so he blacks out? Or?
I just give him a Gatorade.
There you go.
Next one. Okay. Your lunch keeps going missing at work. You're pretty sure you know who is taking it each day.
Taylor.
Do you confront them, report it to your supervisor or HR, or get them back by making a cat food sandwich? Or do you just keep quiet?
Yeah, put cyanide on your sandwich.
The cat food sandwich is so random. That's such a that makes this question feel like not serious.
It's not serious.
First of all, no one would ever take my lunch because the degree of dedication it takes to put all of the things together that I bring to make something cohesive is too much for most to handle.
I know. Will brings like a cubby full of tzatziki sauce and then cucumbers and then tomatoes and then hummus and then the pita and then everything and like assembles. I'm like, just make your pita sandwich at home.
No, I like to make it here.
He doesn't want it
because you don't microwave it all the same. You know, you don't microwave the vegetables. So you have to bring the vegetables and hummus and stuff differently than you bring the other stuff.
I don't know.
Anyway, if
just
someone
ask the person. Are you taking my lunch? Or
Hey, Jimbo.
Yeah, confront them.
it could be like those
I don't know.
Hershey's commercials
I
where you
feel
just
like I
start
would have
making
fun
2
with it.
lunches
No.
because you're a nice person.
What are you,
That
socialist?
would be the dumbest thing.
Yeah, that'd be
ever.
the worst.
I know.
thing.
I'm just saying that's
You should
that's
not
what the
be a nice
commercials do.
person.
Yeah.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Amala.
It is a terrible idea. But
Go to their house, steal their dog. See how
Wow.
they like it.
Revenge.
Oh, next one. You really like your neighbors and they're a great couple. The only problem is that they throw wild parties occasionally. You think that they're into drugs, maybe even dealing. What do you do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Don't be a Karen.
Yeah, don't be a
Yeah,
Karen.
you just let
Don't
them do
be a
their thing.
snitch.
If it's like putting your family in danger, then it's okay, maybe. But or
Right.
like
If it's
keeping
like
you up at
Project
night.
X every
Well, they
2
said
weeks,
occasionally.
it's a different thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just let them do whatever they want. They're
Let them have a
adults.
little fun time.
Yeah. They want to do a little crack at home, you know.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you
do.
give horrible advice. Next one. A friend gives you a gift for your birthday. Unfortunately, it's a type of perfume that you're extremely allergic to. Do you say something and ask for a receipt to return it or just keep quiet?
It depends on the friend. If it's a best friend, you should almost kind of be mad at them. That they didn't know
Yeah,
that you
what
were
the heck?
allergic
You'd be
to
like,
it.
are you trying to literally kill me?
Yeah, don't you know this? But if it's like a normal friend, then you probably just take it and throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
No, I would like find someone else to give it to.
Yeah, that works.
That's
too.
probably what I would do.
Yeah.
Right.
If it was like not a close friend. If
Yeah.
it was a close friend, I would say,
Yeah.
yeah, you messed this up. I need
Same
to get
here.
something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you really dropped the ball on this one.
Yeah. You suck.
Yeah. You are no longer my
Like you're
best
the
friend.
worst friend ever.
Yeah.
I literally could have died. Okay, now we're gonna play another game here, guys. What's the name of this? What's this guy's name? This comedian?
John Christ.
John Christ.
Follow him on Instagram, John B. Christ. He's a comedian. He's funny. He's kind of like a Christian comedian, but not too cheesy, I promise.
He put together an Instagram story that is church or weed store. You guys are gonna play along
Scott,
with
should
us.
we put on our music here?
Let's do it.
All right,
You guys are gonna play along with us. Church or weed store, okay, guys? Let's see number 1 here. Okay, hold on. Okay, church or weed store.
Wait, we can't see it.
Yeah.
Number 1, church or weed store. Abide.
That's a very churchy word. I'm gonna go church.
I'm gonna go church.
I am gonna go church too, although there are leaves and flames on this side, on this side, which is really confusing. But I'm gonna go church. Oh, it's a church.
It is a
That's
church.
right.
All right, one
Absolutely
for one.
correct.
One for one.
Absolutely correct. Next one, north.
North what?
I mean, it's so.
If it's taking you high
It's
up
so
north,
obscure.
maybe.
I'm
it
gonna go
looks
church
so much like a church.
No,
that
I'm
it
gonna
must
say
be a
weed store. Yeah, I'm gonna say weed
because
store.
it looks so much
Dispensary.
like a church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going north as in getting high. It's a
So
weed shop. It's a dispensary. You
You
guys are right.
2 for 2. Amala's 1 for 2.
Next one, gold leaf.
Gold leaf. Oh, Lord.
Church.
That's got to be a weed.
Church.
You're saying weed store,
Yeah, I'm
Taylor?
gonna say weed shop.
Church.
Here we go. Dispensary.
Yes. Dang it. Get
Taylor's
some.
winning. Taylor's winning.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Next.
Another
gold leaf.
Okay.
Church.
Church. Let's say church.
Church.
That is
Church,
Church
of
of
God.
God. Gold leaf Church of God.
Heck yeah.
All right.
Next one. People's.
Oh gosh, it's got roots.
It's got roots.
Ah.
Which could be church or weed.
I know. That's why this is a fun game. It's like, well, you really don't know.
I'm gonna say weed shop.
All right.
How do you think it finishes?
I'll say
People's
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 drugs.
pot.
People's drugs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say weed.
Weed.
People's
it is.
cannabis.
People's
That's
cannabis,
right.
baby.
Oh, that was a tough one.
Let's
We're
go.
killing it. Next.
5, 4, 3.
Coachella Valley. It says Coachella Valley Church.
That's a cocaine store. That's an LSD store.
That's a front.
Ecstasy
That's
store.
definitely a front.
Coachella.
It's already voted on and it says
Oh.
church.
Okay, well,
so I'm
let's
guessing
skip
it's a
that one.
church.
Oh wait.
It is also a marijuana dispensary.
You can't do
An
that.
unpermitted marijuana dispensary.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's hilarious.
Scott, people are saying they can't see in the small screen, so maybe go back and forth to it.
Okay, Fresh Life.
Church.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go weed store.
I'm gonna go
Fresh Life.
church.
Church.
Okay. Church.
Ah, got one
Yes.
back on me.
Nice,
5-5-4. Amala's still losing.
Hey,
Loser.
New View. Weed.
Oh, Lord.
It's got to be weed.
I don't know. There could be like some weird hippie church.
It's green.
Yeah,
It looks real hippie. Yeah,
Alright.
I don't know. You think
probably
it's
a church in
some
Oregon or
Unitarians or something?
Oregon. All right. Weed shop.
Weed. What are you saying,
What
Taylor?
are you saying, Scott?
I'll go weed. I don't want to give up another point.
What? Oregon.
Or
Oregon.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're saying
Oregon.
weed?
Oregon.
Oregon.
You said weed, Taylor?
Yeah, I'm
saying
going
weed.
weed with you guys. Yes.
Yeah. Weed
It's a
shop.
farming store.
There we go. Next. Mission.
Mission weed. I'm missing some weed right now.
Gosh, I'm gonna go. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go church.
I'm gonna go weed.
The flame. It's like it could be a Holy Spirit flame, or it could be
lighten up flame.
Lighten up. You know
I'm
what
going to
saying?
say church.
I'm gonna go weed.
Dispensary.
Let's go. Wait, no, you said church. What do you mean?
I couldn't remember what I said, so I was just like, I'm gonna play it off like I got it right.
No, I knew what you said. I'm the
Okay.
only one who got that one.
Thanks,
All
so
right,
you're in
now
the
I got
lead?
one
Yeah,
right.
now I'm in the lead.
Okay. This one is
6-5-4.
Sunnyside.
No, it's 7-6-5.
Oh, okay.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside.
That sounds like a breakfast shop.
Yeah.
Sunnyside.
I'm gonna go church.
This is getting tough.
Go Sunnyside Church.
Sunnyside.
Bless you.
I'll say weed store.
I'm going weed store as well.
All right, going church.
It is dispensary.
Yes.
Woo, woo, woo.
Darn.
Tied back up. Darn tootin'.
Darn tootin'. I swear I've been there before.
Wow.
Next.
Wait, so where are we at?
All right,
7?
first to 10.
7, 7,
6.
6.
Yeah, first to 10.
All right, Amala, you got to come back.
Thrive.
Right. Oh, God.
That's a church.
Church.
I don't know.
I'm going church.
Guys, look at the little leaves on the top of it, though.
I know.
All right, I'll go
Church.
weed store. Let's make this interesting.
Okay. Pot shop.
Let's go.
Gosh.
Took a risk.
Okay.
Don't follow the crowd, kids. If you learn anything.
Minority opinions are the
If your
only
friends
opinions.
all jumped off a bridge and went to a weed shop, would you do it?
Next one. And light.
And light.
Church.
Lite.
Church.
Yeah, this has got to be throwing us off. I'm gonna go church.
Just gonna go weed shop to
you
be
gotta
dissident.
you got to make up some points here.
Answer is weed shop.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
So 8-7-7.
It's all falling apart now.
Restore.
Church.
Church.
Weed.
Okay. Weed.
Come on.
Oh my gosh.
go.
Why do we keep
977.
failing? Okay.
I can taste the victory.
Enlightened.
Tastes like a weed gummy.
Couple clues here.
Couple
This
clues
handicapped
here.
parking
Oh boy.
for glaucoma.
What does that sign say?
This, I mean, it looks very like.
I'm gonna
The
say
sign
church.
says come as you are.
It's
Church.
got to be a church.
Church.
Let's
Church.
go church.
Dispensary.
Are you kidding me?
That's what I
Come
said.
as you are.
Come as you are.
Wow.
To the dispensary.
That's crazy.
Nirvana.
Okay, next. One plant.
Okay.
Church.
Dispensary.
Ah,
Just because it's so on the nose.
it is. I don't know. It looks like a church. I might say dispensary just to give Will a chance.
Okay. Dispensary.
Well, Taylor wins.
All right, who gets second place?
The Way. Black Lives Matter.
That's definitely a church.
That's a church. That's a
Church?
woke church.
That's a woke church.
for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Christian Center.
Jeez.
Let's do two more.
All right.
Church.
Roots.
Church.
The people outside of it.
I'm going church.
Dispensary.
She said church.
One more.
All right.
Greener pastures.
Church.
Church.
Dispensary.
Weed shop. Gosh.
Nailing the
I
coffin.
was
suck
real
at this
playing.
game, guys. I definitely lost. Will came in second. Taylor is first in our Fun Friday Weed Shop or
That was
Church.
a good one, right?
That was a
fun.
pretty good one. That was
Not
a pretty
just 'cause
good
I
one.
won. But
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single day when we go live, 2:30 PST, 5:30 Eastern. Also, if you're a young person watching right now and you think, should I be at the weed shop or should I be at church? The answer is neither. You should be in Prayer Force at this very moment.
I love it.
You could also go to church.
You could also go to church, but first sign up for Prager Force by going to pragerforce.com. That's for all high school students, college students, or young professionals below the age of 35. Sign up for Prager Force by going to pragerforce.com and join a digital community of like-minded conservative individuals. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to listen to this episode again, you can listen to us on YouTube, Facebook, or go to Google Play, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. But leave us a 5-star review or a thumbs up and a nice comment on all of those platforms. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will be back on Monday.
Bye, guys.